All right, start over.
Welcome to the new meta, episode 92.
92.
This week, the episode is brought to you by
Lord Fluffy's logo.
Lord Fluffy's logo.
Yeah.
Technical troubles, but welcome. How was your week? How was the isolation? I'm assuming.
Man, let me tell you, my life has changed from like doing my job from 8 to 5 and streaming until I fall asleep to working from 8 to 5 and streaming until nothing has changed.
Oh, nice.
At all. So it's been pretty great.
Yeah, mine has a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm taking advantage of that little bit of extra, like I don't have to get up and get ready in drive time.
Nice.
So I've been streaming later, sleeping probably less, and it's been fun. I'm rolling out of bed at 8 o'clock and like walking down to my office. Pretty much just like, and I go down. It's been fun, man. I've had a good time being at home. Ironically, unironically, I don't know.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I could throw out the old one.
Oh my gosh. You can see some of the rejected new meta logos that we were like, no, it's like a little kid gaming, dude. That's crazy. But I should give that to my son. Like, here's a logo for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's been interesting for me. I haven't minded it much. I've actually been working more. Like, I've been so fucking busy because like all the people at my office are trying to remote and they just don't understand it. I spent like an hour today trying to conceptually like teach this accountant lady like how it works. She couldn't grasp like the difference between local computer and remote computer. When she was remoting into her work machine. And she's like, well, I installed my printer at my home on my laptop and my laptop's closed. And then now I'm like trying to print to that printer. And I'm like, but you're at the office today? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, you can't. What do you, I mean, is your laptop even on? I'm like, I can let you remote into that laptop. Is it on? She's like, no, it's closed. And I'm like, no, then what do you think? Space Magic is just going to let you print at home? Like, what the fuck? And she's like, I couldn't get the Bluetooth keyboard and mouse to work. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah.
No.
I'm like, well, did you plug the dongle in? And she's like,
the dongle.
She's like, oh no, I thought it just worked over Wi-Fi. I'm like, oh my god, dude, it's blowing my mind. Yeah. This week has been eye-opening for me. So
yeah, we so like the very first meeting we had, like not company-wide, department-wide, like everyone like was calling in to like the conference call, and like people have never ever used like conference call technology. Yeah. And so we're like hearing like dogs barking and like kids screaming, and like no one knew to mute themselves. And it was like, oh my God.
Who is the organizer? They should globally mute everybody.
I know, right? But even like the organizer's not super technically savvy. That's the mess. Yeah, it's a mess. That's and then crazy. Do you see all the memes? Like there's a meme on Twitter going around right now of like there's a conference call and this lady like literally like pulls down her pants and like sits on the toilet during the conference call. She has no fucking idea that like her camera's on and shit.
She's taking a shit. Oh my god. I've seen some memes this week floating around. My chat was showing me some last night. It's like scenes from different movies and things. Like there was a Breaking Bad scene where I guess they found like millions and millions of dollars of coke. And they replaced the Coke with toilet paper, like in the video. And they're like, "What are we gonna do with all this? Like, we're just like sell it on the black market." Like, it was just hilarious, dude. So,
oh my god,
it's been an interesting week,
for sure,
to say the least.
For sure.
But I will say, and maybe I can get this from your perspective. So for me, as as like a dad with wife and kids, my house is busy. I have lots of people to talk to, and like. I got my kids here and my wife, and there's always somebody to go hang out with or talk to or keep me busy. You and Lindsay, you're there at the house.
Yeah.
Do you get sick of her company? I mean, I know you can't really admit that if you do, but like, how is it? You guys like kind of separate and do your own thing for a while, and then you guys like, hey, I haven't really seen you in 2 days. Let's watch a movie. Or like, is it constant? Like, let's hang out.
No, I mean, like, so in the beginning of me and Lindsay's relationship, like, I was in a really weird spot, like, in my career. And so like I was home like 24/7 and she was in between jobs. And so like we're very used to being around each other like 24/7. So it's really not a big deal at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's cool.
but I mean, like,
Works out.
she has a ton of stress right now because like she still has to go, and like go to patients' homes and like everyone at her job. It seems like if they're either not taking it seriously at all or like freaking out kind of thing. And so it's
Right.
just like talking about it, I'm sure every day would be like the worst.
Yeah.
But I also feel it like weigh on some of like the programmers that I have. Like you can tell you're not 100% focused, and I get it. But
Yeah. My brother's like that. He was texting me today. He was like, bro, this sucks. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And he's like, my kids. I'm just like, really? My kids have been super chill, man. It's been awesome for me.
really,
And he's like, yeah. He's like, I don't, he's like, I love them. They're awesome. He's like, but I can't focus on work at all. He's like, and I'm just like, yeah, that sucks. I was like, that's my kids entertain themselves pretty well. If I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go do work or whatever, they're like, okay, cool.
that's good.
Like they're good. So maybe that's the difference. But
What about your kids like being around each other 24/7? Like that's got to be
they've been okay so far. I mean, it's only been it's been a little bit, but we'll see how it
unfolds.
pans out. Yeah.
It's
We'll
been
see.
like a week and a couple days, or has it been 2
Well,
weeks?
they had spring break right before it, leading up
Oh,
to it. So
okay.
they've already been home a week before they canceled school. So I think this is going on week 3 now that they've been home. So
Nutty. I
cool.
have zero insight on that.
They're eating me out of house and home, but
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, dude, you
So,
guys need to go to school.
what's that going to look like? Do you think? Like, are you getting groceries delivered, or like, how's that?
I'm just going. I went to the store today.
Mm.
Even, I mean, you just had to get groceries, so I was precautious as I could. Took as many precautions as I could. I put on the clothes that I was going to wear to the store. When I got home, I took them off and threw them in the washing machine. I wiped the carts down. Most of the grocery stores have little wipes on them now, where you can wipe the carts off. So I wiped it off and
Sure.
just pray for the best, because if somebody sneezes that has corona, it's going to linger for an hour
Sure.
apparently in the air. So
Yeah.
uh,
My Kansas City's like you can't even leave anymore unless you're like a where they call them like necessity worker, essential worker, or whatever.
yeah, we're the same here, but you can still go to the grocery store or
Yeah,
the
we
doctor.
can't even do that. Yeah,
Really?
if you get pulled over and you don't have a reason for being out, then you can go.
Hmm.
You can get a ticket.
Yeah, that's the same here, but they still let you go to the grocery store. I mean, what do they
Hmm.
expect people to not eat for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or
I don't know,
whatever?
dude.
I don't know either.
Instacart.
So, but those guys can't be out.
Yeah, they can because they're essential.
Oh, the Instacart guys are essential now?
Yeah.
Okay, I just be like, I'm an Instacart driver. Fuck off.
True. They probably asked for
Yeah.
proof. All right. Anyways,
So
you want to talk
anyways,
about
let's
like
talk some Diablo.
ARPGs and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It'd be sick. All right. So last week, oh, this is an old one. Is this the right one?
I don't know.
Shit. Did we save off the one from last week?
Should still be on the last week's schedule.
Apparently it's not.
I'll find it.
I'll get it on my YouTube video. It's fine. There we go. Has Corona affected your season/league start? We'll spam that in chat real quick. So let me ask you. What do you think won? And did it affect you? What do you vote?
I'm gonna say yeah, man. More people were home. I mean, it doesn't say negatively impacted it. It just says impacted it.
Right.
So, sure. I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
Yes, one.
Okay. And when for you, was it yes or nope?
For me, did it impact it? No, it did. I guess it didn't. I mean, I would have done the same thing regardless. I would have just played. So, and
Yeah.
I still played. So, I could have got a little extra playing time, but I'll say no.
Sure. Yeah, same here. I really had no impact. Right now, it's just had no impact on my life whatsoever. So it's great. Boom. 74% of the vote agrees. Nope. And then 26% of the vote says yes. We had some comments in the YouTube section too. And people were like, yeah, I'm in the serving industry. Like I lost my job and some sad stories.
My wife got laid off temporarily. She works for
What?
the airline. Yeah.
Oh my
She
gosh.
works for
What does
the
that look
airline. And
like?
she got furloughed. So I don't know if you don't know what that really
Mm-mm.
means. It's like she's laid off until the industry picks back up, and then they'll rehire her at the same job she had.
Really?
So it's basically like a temporary layoff just for like 60, 90 days until this blows over.
Is there any
So
like? There's probably no pay that comes with that, I assume.
yeah, no pay, nothing. I mean, that's the whole reason they do it, so they don't have to pay you, you know.
Right.
But
So
like
what
I
does that
said, she
look
works.
like for you guys for like the next 6 months?
I mean, it's okay. I don't, I'm a pretty good. I'm pretty good at managing my money, so
Sure.
I'm not living check to check. But it's
That's not true. You buy a bunch of dumb games.
I do buy a bunch of dumb games. Yeah. But so it's as of right now, I'm not freaking out. But if this shit lasts like 4 or 5 months, then shit, you know what I mean? Like, then I'll be freaking out,
Yeah, it'll be
or if
it'll
or
probably be
if I
6 months
lost my
too.
job, we'd both maybe freaking out. It's just it's unending a little bit, but it affects me,
Yeah.
for sure. So
Yeah.
we're gonna lose at least 2 or 3 months of her income. So
It's crazy.
yeah, it is weird. But like I said, she's in the airline industry, so they're nobody's flying right now, dude. Like, it's insane. They're just like, we don't we can't employ all these people.
Right.
So I guess they probably could. They're fucking assholes, to be honest with you. Yeah, they probably could. Some dude's like, you know what, man, I was really gonna buy that $40 million mansion next month, so I'm just gonna lay off a couple
Right.
thousand people.
And then the next question we'll actually get into in a minute because
Okay.
it's one of the like segments that we're going to talk about today. So first and foremost, I wanted to kind of retouch on where the leaderboards are at. So I did it beforehand because last week we had some issues looking at the leaderboards, and there is still some issues. I got disconnected even looking at the leaderboards today.
Nice.
I think they're still being DDoSed, which we'll get into in a minute. But yeah, so Witch Doctor is currently at a 138 on the season with Mundanugu, and that is without the seasonal theme. So it will remain that strong unless it's nerfed after the season finishes.
He didn't use seasonal theme, like his cube had normal slots,
Yeah.
like
weapon, armor, ring. So,
Okay.
Barb is at a 130 with Whirlwind, no seasonal theme as well. Little Rogue Slanderer. Crusader was at a 131, so the second highest, but it was using a double ring setup so they could use Traveler's Pledge and Compass Rose effectively.
COE and Unity, probably, I guess.
I think so.
Yeah.
And Obsidian, I think.
Oh, maybe Obsidian. Yeah.
Yeah, it was with all of those. So
all those. Yeah, the Travelers.
Double ring, right?
Yeah.
DH was a 120 fire or 120 rapid fire grenades, no seasonal theme. God, that's so boring.
Yeah, that build sucks so bad. It would be a really fun build if it wasn't grenades.
Yeah. That's why, like, and then we'll just to touch on it. So Necro's at a 125 with LOD Mage, but that's double weapon. And so those are pretty weak right now. But I will say, like, the worst case scenario for both of these classes, and what I think is most likely, is we just get the new set for each class and like no changes to go with.
Right.
So like maybe DH and Necro have like a 130 plus build next season, but everything else is still gonna suck.
Whirlwind is still top for Barb, dude. That bothers me. It really does. Like, and we talked about it before, and I don't think it should be that way. Like, I wonder. I didn't look at the leaderboards. Maybe I could pull it up real quick, but I wonder how far behind the
It was like 2 or 3 last week.
New set. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see. I've had feedback from a lot of people. I've been smashing this season on all my streams. I haven't played much off stream, but during the streams, that's all I've been playing is Diablo. And a lot of feedback has been that the new set for Barb feels underwhelming. That its damage intake is a little too high and its damage output's a little too low. And that's kind of my impressions from PTR. When I played it in PTR, I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, this is okay, but it needs more damage and more durability, more toughness. And I gave the feedback, and They thought it was at right where it was performing right on par. Was what I got. So
Yeah, it could always be worse. It could be the Wizard, where the Hydra set is kind of a joke.
Mhm.
Wizard's currently at a 124, the second lowest, with Chintoto Veer actually with double armor in the cube.
I think we fucked ourselves last season. I think people doing the 150s really scared them.
The solo 150s?
Yeah, I think people doing the solo 150s with the seasonal theme, even though it was a total exploit. And I just think that people hitting it, maybe people were doing it legit too. But
people did it legit late season.
Yeah, I think it scared them, and then I think the Crusader set came out so strong out of the gate that they're like, man, this is way too OP, and I think that's why these new sets aren't performing. Like I'm going down the leaderboard now, top
but Moon
10.
Danugu is nutty. It might be even better than Crusader was.
I agree. And it's so why are the other ones like I'm looking right now, top 12 players, which is the front page, all whirlwind.
Yeah.
Everyone. So
that could be an accessibility thing though too though. Like anyone can play whirlwind. Literally.
Yeah. I guess, dude. I would think if it was capable of doing it, that somebody out there with the skill would have done it though. It's just not as powerful. I don't know, man. It's disappointing to me though. I think it's okay for it to be a couple greater rifts higher than the other sets when it comes out. And then the next season, that's okay. Okay, yeah, it overperformed a little bit. We're gonna knock it down. I would rather overshoot by 3 to 5 greater rifts like Witch Doctor than to undershoot like Wizard.
Yeah. I concur.
So
or have multiple PTR phases and actually get it right. But anyways.
Yeah.
2-player, we've got Moon Danugu and Support Barb set up at a 142 with 2 players, which is pretty crazy. 3-player is only 1 tier higher and just add a support monk to that setup.
Right.
And then 4-player is still the meta that we talked about last week, where it's got the Nova Necro and the RGK Crusader with the support bar, support monk, and they're not necessarily farming 150s, but it's pretty easy to clear already. When that kind of sucks to me, like a week and a half into the season or whatever it's been. Like that just seems so strong. But it's also so strong in the sense that you can actually replace the Necro as well with the Moon Danugu Witch Doctor and still do 150s.
Yep. Yeah. It's a thing. Necro, that's really all I've played this season. So last Friday, I did one of my punishment streams and I leveled a hardcore Witch Doctor because I let chat choose the character and they, of course, made me play Witch Doctor.
Yeah.
Least favorite class.
It's so easy though to level. It's honestly like the easiest class.
I leveled it and it was easy. They made me drop. So the way that setup works is I let chat.
Yeah, like I've seen
make me
punishment
destroy
core
weapons and armor,
right.
and stuff. And so they made me drop every single legendary weapon I got during the leveling process and most of any good items, armor pieces I got. But it was still super cheese. I mean, it was like, Soul Harvest and everything died. But it was interesting. It wasn't bad. So I'm probably going to try to see if I can gather the setup this week, this Friday, and try out the new set a little bit.
Yeah. So. A lot of people are getting super confused by the new set for Moon Danugu.
Really?
Like they're not understanding how it works and stuff like that, which is interesting.
Yeah, I haven't really played it yet. So once I get the pieces, we'll try it out. But.
Yeah, it's like it is confusing because like you look at the leaderboards and you see people running like the pet items, like the Mask of Jerem, and so you're like, oh, like the Manitau's a pet, but the Manitau isn't a pet. It's the phantasms that are pets.
Right.
And the set like says like we get a burst of damage when you stop channeling, but it's not you, it's your Manitau and your pets. So it's like it's weird. So it's kind of like you're playing a mind build because you're basically just trying to drag like mobs onto your phantasms.
Yeah,
and let
they're
them
pretty
last.
Stationary. You can have 3 of them up at a time, I believe.
And that's how you do like the burst. Is if like the overkill damage, or like if you cast a 4th Phantasm, it'll like explode the first one, basically.
Nice.
So, anyways.
Ooh.
But yeah, it could be more clear probably on the wording. But yeah, and then I saw the post on Reddit kind of uprise this week, and we talked about it before, but like this just keeps getting some moment in the sun. How, I mean, really, as much as people shit on Diablo 3, and as much as grief as, we give it, even though I think we try to stay positive for the most part, like spending, $50, $60 on this game in 2011.
Yeah.
And like, we're still like, we're running a podcast on, I mean, it might be a pretty dead game right now, but like, like a year or 2 years ago, like when Necro
8
came
years
out,
later,
it was popping again. And yeah, it's just crazy that we're still here. Like the value is pretty nutty. And when we had David Brevik on, he was like, what do you expect? Like you paid for $40 for this game like 10 years ago. So it just, again, go ahead.
We've talked about it. That's what it feels like. Value for hours played, invested in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that comes close to me for how many hours I have in it. I have more time in WoW. I mean, although I haven't really played it seriously in several years, I had crazy time in WoW, but I paid $15 a month to play that. So every 3 months I was buying Diablo all over again. And it's and people kind of lose sight of that, I feel like. It's insane. I mean, I really can't even think of another game where I've been like, 6,000 plus hours of playtime. So
yeah, I mean, it is easy to lose sight of that because again, when you look at Diablo's biggest competitor, is one of the highest content getting games on the internet, and so it's just always getting that comparison of, like wow, like Pee-wee just got all this, and like look at the Diablo patch notes, like lol. So
yeah, and PoE's free too. I think that's what really gets people going a little bit, but it's just the model, man. I think Blizzard needs, I don't know. I'm scared for them to adopt the free to play model because I think GGG gets it and they're not selling power, And I don't know that most companies are have enough self-control not to try to sell power. Like I think that carrot is so enticing to all these companies that they're just like, fuck,
yeah.
Let's just sell a little bit. Let's just sell.
I'm curious, like the new Call of Duty game, the BR they just came out with. If there's any like pay to win, because I know they have like
I don't know.
weapon blueprints that give you like special attachments or something like that. So I wonder if there's any kind of pay to win mechanic in that.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
No, I did. I downloaded it because it's 80 gigabytes.
That's what I heard. I heard somebody told me it was like over 100, so that's weird.
And then I like played the tutorial, and then I was like, okay. But I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't have anyone to play with. I don't really get a ton of enjoyment. I have like solo queuing BRs.
Yeah.
So I was like, I
hear you. So. It looked enticing. I haven't tried it. I also thought Escape from Tarkov looked enticing, but I just didn't try it.
Sure. So. Yeah, and then, like we talked about earlier, we saw live on the podcast last week when we were trying to look at leaderboards. Blizzard and GGG, they're getting DDoS like crazy right now. All these fucking nerds stuck at home with Corona, just DDoSing our video games. Like, what kind of a nerd, what kind of a jerk do you have to be during a time of quarantine to be attacking video games?
Whoever it is, man, I really hope they get busted. And like, I hope it's like some fucking 20-year-old nerd sitting in his house just thinking he's being funny and shit. And then he's like, now he's spending the next 10 years in jail,
Right.
Getting booty touched by some, by Bubba over there. That's what you get, dude. It sucked, man. I was trying to play during the DDoS. I was super fortunate in that I got logged in and I was able to play the majority of the night. So I think that happened last Tuesday during our podcast is when it started.
Yeah.
And Tuesday night I was able to get in and play, and or maybe the day after, maybe Wednesday. But everybody was like, how are you in? How are you in? And I'm like, just luck, dude. I don't have secret answers for you. Just let me in, and I'm not going to disconnect. But it's been crazy. It's been pretty shitty. It's been really good for me the last couple of days. So if it's been going on still, it hasn't been affecting me. Luckily, at least not during my stream block.
Right.
So
There's a.
has it got you on PUE?
Oh yeah. There's a conspiracy, which I love. I love conspiracies.
Okay, let's hear it.
So PUE and Diablo 3 came out at the same time this season, this league/season, and PUE was getting hit really bad night one of the league launch, and Diablo was fine. And so the theory is that like GGG realized it was like Blizzard DDoSing them. And then they're like, oh shit, fuck you guys. And so then they turned on their DDoSing ability and struck Blizzard this week.
They did it bad.
There it is.
Oh. So there's two nerds at Blizzard and GGG just going at each other.
Yeah. This is all going to show up on some Kintaku or whatever.
Right. I would think that Blizzard's got a little bit more network power than GGG at their disposal. But
I don't know. Tencent, dude.
Know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah. Anyways, stupid theory. But yeah, and then the interesting thing I saw on the BattleNet launcher was that World of Warcraft was getting like double XP.
I saw that. Yeah, it's just for retail. It would have been cool if they would have extended it to Classic. That might have enticed me to maybe level a character. But it's for retail, and I haven't touched my retail account since Classic dropped. I don't even think I've logged in. But I'm kind of burnt out on WoW pretty hard at the moment. But if you're a WoW nerd, then cool, man. Level up all those alts that you want to get leveled up before the expansion hits. Have they officially dropped? Let me check the BattleNet launcher. Is Shadowlands? It just says coming 2020. There's actually not a release date from what it looks like yet.
Can you pre-order that garbage?
I have. Well,
you did already?
I had it gifted to me by somebody.
No, sure, dude. Your wife?
No, one of my community guys. I got some WoW peoples in my community. They hooked it up.
Right on.
So they hooked it up like right when we got back from BlizzCon. So yeah, I'll play it when it comes out. I mean, I know you're gonna play it too. Don't act like you're not. So
I just like I don't think I could get debated again because I played. What was that? What was the last one?
Fucking, I don't remember the name of the expansion now. It's been too long since I played it. Whatever it was, we played it together. Yeah. It was fun for the first couple of days.
Week one was good. Yeah. And then as soon as we could like get heroic gear, then it became not fun. And I was just like, no, this is stupid.
Yeah, but that's kind of how the chase goes in everything, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's just like the chase isn't fun anymore once you get the things. So I know that that's a thing, and I probably won't be trying it again. So.
Okay. How is that different than any other game?
It's not. It's just it showed me how much I don't enjoy the grind in WoW. Oh, so I know what to expect. Therefore, I'm not going to get debated again.
I see. Okay. Well, you can DH tank for me once you buy it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm probably going to play. We don't have a release date, and it depends on what else is dropping around that time frame too. You know, I think timing makes a big difference on this. Like, there are some games I'm super excited for. Final Fantasy VII's dropping in 3 weeks. You know, a little bit less than 3 weeks, I think, maybe. I don't know. But I'm crazy excited for that. And then,
I don't know, man. The fact that it's only like a piece of the game, I can't get that hype. If it's the full game, because it's like, how many hours are you going to dump into like knowing you can't get that far? There's no end game like replayability like there is in Final Fantasy VII, where you're like grinding materia and fighting the weapons. Like,
well, I think they did talk about there's end game in it, so they realized that going in, and I think they've added stuff. There's new sectors in Midgard that you couldn't get into before.
You're still probably gonna like level cap yourself. Probably like level cap to 20 or we'd have to, right? Because you're not going to go into level 99 going into part 2, you know?
If your character even carries over to part 2. Like, we don't know the story. So I think a lot of it depends. We're looking at it like, okay, they took Final Fantasy VII and put new graphics on it. And I don't think that's the case. I think they took Final Fantasy at its core and they took the story and the characters. And I think they redesigned. I think they took liberty with the story. And I'm really curious to see
I don't know.
What are they
man.
going to change?
You can't do.
What if?
Ugh.
Okay, what if Aerith doesn't die?
Bro, spoiler. Jesus Christ.
If you haven't played 7 already,
wow, I'm sorry, chat. I am so sorry. Jesus Christ.
What if?
We got a lot of Zoomers in chat, you know, like they didn't play that stuff, you know.
Okay, I'm just making stuff up, chat.
No,
what
continue.
If?
Right.
What if?
There's just no way. Doesn't the game title say like Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Yeah, it's a remake.
Then that would be fake advertising, right?
No.
You can't be like, oh, it's a remake, but then like completely redo the story and like everything about the game. I don't know. I don't think that'd be a smart play.
I'm in the same with you. I'm sitting here thinking that it needs to be this follow pretty close, but then part of me is like, you gotta mix it up, man. You gotta throw some curveballs in there, some things that we're not expecting. Like people like us who have played through it several times, we know what's gonna happen. Like, what's the fun in that? Okay, it's got new graphics, cool. All right, I see Cloud looks really awesome. How long does that last? Not very long. So they got to do something. I'm excited for it, man, and hopefully, we don't wait forever for part 2 and 3. So
right,
I wish it was releasing on PC also, but
yeah, you're telling me. I also think that like if they're gonna redo the thing, like all the story and like gameplay and all that crap, like why not just explore other things in the Final Fantasy VII universe? Like there's probably a ton of stories they could tell there. And I was always disappointed that they didn't like go, because they did like a Final Fantasy 10-2, right?
Yeah, but dude, it was shit. I mean,
I know, but I'm just saying, but like why couldn't they do like
Final
Fantasy 7?
Didn't they make a Final Fantasy Vincent game? It was like Cerebrus or something. What was it? I don't know. There was a Final Fantasy 7 knockoff game where you were playing as Vincent.
And they had a movie
but
too.
It wasn't even a JRPG. It was like it was like a Devil May Cry style game. So I mean, they did some things, but I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a blast. I haven't been super amped up for a game in a while, so that'll be cool. And then Cyberpunk comes out 2077. Like that game is going to be phenomenal. I really do. I hope, man. So those are my 2 big boys. If WoW drops the same time as Cyberpunk or one of these other games, I don't know, man. So
yeah, I guess I could see that. Like if there's nothing out, like if season 22 or whatever rolls around at that time and it's just like 0 things and PoE 0 things, I guess I would check out WoW, but I can't imagine.
Tank? I got that DH tank, boys.
You're so impressed by my tanking ability.
I'm surprised you played WoW. You were like on the low, like hiding offline and shit. And then all of a sudden one day it's like, hey, you need a tank? And I'm like, what the fuck? I thought somebody impersonated you. I thought I had to double check. I'm like, well, let me check my battle.net.
I'm an MMO taking god. Anyways, so in other news, we kind of see continued radio silence from the Diablo team at Blizzard. No blue posts.
It's really weird, and I figured this was going to happen. Like I was thinking this in my head. They were going so hard right after Diablo 4. I mean, they were on the forums replying to everybody, and all this stuff. And then I figured they'd burn out a little bit.
Sure,
but it's gone back to like 1 post a month. You know, it's been several weeks since a post was made, and it's been a while since a meaningful post was made.
Sure.
It could be to the, staying at home, Corona stuff. I don't know. What does this mean for the Diablo team? Like, what's their capability to work from home?
Sure.
Test from home. And
could it be they're using the resources on fighting the DDoS? Maybe. That could be.
Yeah, could be too. Yeah. Fighting a DDoS would be horrible. Like, how do you?
I mean,
I still don't know how you combat it, honestly, because you got so much traffic. You have to determine what's garbage and what's good.
Right.
And you still have to sift through all that trash. I really don't. The guys that are smart enough to figure that out, man, hats off to them, because that would suck.
Yeah.
To have to do that.
I've only dealt with it like twice. The first time we had like Amazon Cloud, AWS, so it's like there's nothing we could really do besides like wait for Amazon to figure it out. The second time we actually hosted it ourselves, and we figured out the IPs for China, so we like literally just banned China for like a couple days, and then like enabled it again, and like
Yeah,
it
I
went
had
away.
something similar happen to me too, like that. They were flooding me trying to hack my firewall, actually, like which you couldn't anyways. Like I had it, restricted down. But once I saw it, I was like, dude, what is going on? Our it was shitty for like hours, and I'm like, what is going on? And I saw the same thing. It was like all these IPs from China, so I just blocked China forever. And I'm just like, fuck. I never took it off. I'm like, fuck it, man. They can stay blocked. Like we do no business with anybody.
Well, maybe because you have it blocked. Gosh,
Yeah,
me.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, China, see ya. So I had some from Brazil once too. I'm like, fuck it. Brazil's gone too.
Nice.
So
Wow.
don't play.
But yeah. And then so on the topic of the second survey.
Okay.
This is something I've kept ThaPChild in the dark about. And we talked about it very briefly last week. I wanted to talk about ways of scaling damage in ARPGs.
Okay.
This is something we brainstormed on stream like a few weeks ago, and I've been wanting to talk about on the podcast because, Diablo 4, from what we've seen, isn't doing like 90% of these. Diablo 3 doesn't do 95% of these. PoE does most of these. And I think that's one of the things that makes PoE, in fact, a better game than, Diablo 3 and maybe Diablo 4 has been in terms of, choices, right? And so I wanted to throw this out because I know you played a lot of World of Warcraft, and there's several ways to scale damage in World of Warcraft. So we wanted to kind of touch on ways that we thought of, and if you think of any along the way, and you can go ahead and ask. And then the survey for next week will be a follow-up to this. What is your favorite way of scaling damage? But yeah, and so on this list, the ones we thought of, damage over time, right?
Yeah.
I love doing dots. I don't know about you, but I love doing the dots. That'd probably be my vote. Critical hits, / critical hit damage. Obviously, we see that a lot in Diablo 3. That's kind of what Diablo 3
RNG in every game. Every game has critical hits usually. Yeah.
Yeah. And Diablo 3 revolves around that. Like 98% of builds use critical hit damage. Buff stacking, and this is so broad. But really, it's like we were making this list, and it's like, well, what about this? What about this? And like they all just fell into this category. Yeah. So buff stacking into things like war cries, like your threatening shout, stuff like that, or PoE stuff. Auras, just things that just give you like flat, like okay, you do 20% more damage with poison, like Diablo, 20% more fire damage. Yeah. Val skills in Diablo or in PoE, which is basically like you kill a bunch of things, and after you get like 50 kills, then you can trigger a special Val skill. So it's kind of like buff stacking. Elemental Overlord, which I think is something not to be ignored, because I think it is kind of a cool buff stack. Like Elemental Overlord, if you guys don't know, it's like you do a lightning spell, and then you do a cold spell, and you do a fire spell, and you do like whatever, and it gives you like more damage per each type that you cast. And I think that's a really cool way of buff stacking. But then you have like stuff like auras, and that's pretty boring. So
yeah,
it can be a great deal thing.
Yeah. Well, are we talking about this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So I think elemental over, like, if you use a frost and a fire and a lightning and whatever, like Tarasha, for example. I personally don't like that style.
Really?
Of play. I get it. I think it's okay. Like if somebody likes it, I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna counter argue it because it's cool. But to me, it's like, well, shit, man. Now I have to use this spell and I have to use that spell to get these stacks to juice up. Like I can't play exactly how I want. I feel like I'm pigeonholed into, all right, I need to proc this, this, and this in order to do the ability I really want.
But at the same time, you can use like any cold spell. You can use any fire spell. So it kind of gives you some freedom in that regard.
Bit. Yeah.
I don't know. We've had this discussion before, but I love like micromanaging and like having a lot of things going on. And I know a lot of players just like want to left click through rifts. So
yeah, I definitely don't want to. I want to left click through T16s. I don't want to left click through, push builds.
Gotcha.
And I think there should be some skill in it. But yeah, buff stacking. I agree. Auras are lame. War cries are lame. They're okay. They exist though. I don't think they should be removed.
Sure.
Because if you take all these options away, well, I mean, I guess let's
Then
finish
you
the
have Diablo
options
3.
and then we'll talk about that. Yeah.
All right. So then debuff stacking, which kind of like the opposite. It's basically like debuffs you stack on mobs. So like shock. I think shock's a pretty cool example from Path of Exile. Shock is basically you do like lightning damage and you have a chance to inflict shock. And shock basically like takes the remaining health and deals an additional percentage of the damage that you've been dealing. Like every single time you cast
cool.
while it has shock. That's pretty cool. Impale, which is just like a chance to like kind of like throw a dagger basically. Penetration, which is like ignoring their resistances. And then of course cursing, which is kind of like just debuffing them, like making them slow, and maybe that makes you do more damage or whatever.
Penetration is ignoring the resistances. Oh my god.
That's true. Yeah.
That's what she said.
Oh
Okay.
my god.
So don't resist me. Okay. Damage windows. Yeah. That's a
Yeah. But these can be good or bad. So damage windows, like point blank from Path of Exile, so you do like more projectile damage if you're up in their face versus being far away. COE, you know, you've got your 25% window where you can do more damage depending on your class. Zais, you know, where you do more damage the further you are away. Or even things like, you know, you play World of Warcraft, like there's a lot of
there's cooldown trinkets and
and like so you'll do your rotation just to get like, you know, 4 skills to light up on your bar, and then boom, you go to town, and there's like your damage window.
Yeah.
And those can feel okay sometimes. Like
they can.
DH has that for
I
DPS.
think I'm so burned on the COE window damage cycle. It just I look at that negatively, but you have to kind of back up a little bit and be like, okay, not COE all the time, you know.
But it's also like you're picking damage windows. You're not picking like, ooh, I really like COE. You're just thinking of, okay, I like that as play style.
I have this couple minute cooldown I can pop for extra damage, or I have, you know, my trinkets procced, or whatever the case may be. So,
and of course, minions. There's not much need to be said there. If you like doing damage with minions, vote minions. Area of effect, and this was pretty broad category, but like everything kept falling into it. And so that's things like area damage from Diablo 3. It's things like chain and fork. So chain, basically, like say you threw a projectile at a mob, it would hit other mobs. Like, and the number of times it does that is depending on how many chains you have. Fork is when it hits an enemy and then like it branches off. And then multi-strike would be like if you hit an enemy, it also hit the enemy next to that enemy.
Right.
Kind of like area damage, but like on a smaller scale.
Yep.
And so maybe that's how you like to do damage. Proc coefficients. I know this would be Quinn's vote, but basically it's things like chance on hit, chance on kill, you know, things like, what's that sword that everyone loves for so long? Shard of Hate? Stuff like that, where you like, you know, you get a chance on hit to do whatever. A lot of people like those.
Shard of Hate was good.
Accuracy, which is a thing in a lot of games. I think you and I both agree on this. We really dislike this one.
Fuck accuracy.
It's so boring to stack a chance to hit mobs. Like I fucking hate that, man.
Miss. It doesn't even feel right.
Like,
yeah, it's like that in WoW too, really bad. And it's just like you have like a 5% chance to miss, yet you miss 4 or 5 skills in a row, and it's like, okay, what the hell is like? What is this? Now, it feels bad to not do damage. Like you're in every game, you're some kind of trained assassin. You're a professional killer of something. Like, let me hit it. I can at least hit it. So.
And it's weird too, because like Pee-wee does this thing where like, so if you're a caster, you don't worry about accuracy at all, but you do have to worry about your mana. But to me, it's like, so, you know, statting things like mana regen is way more exciting than statting something like accuracy. Because the mana regen, you see like, okay, I get more mana regen and my mana like starts to fly out. Whereas accuracy, it's like, you know, okay, hit more.
I'm actually doing what I should do when I press the button. Yeah.
So
I agree. It sucks.
Yeah.
I hope no accuracy in D4. I hope no hit.
Totally. I mean, if it's between like not having 90% of these, I guess I would go for the accuracy, but it's definitely my least favorite of all of them. More damage multipliers, you know, couldn't be ignored because that is a thing in Diablo 3. Such like, you know, 6-piece set bonus, legendaries that give just a flat damage multiplier. Those are a thing. If you guys like that, vote that. Consumables, so that's like so broad as well. These are things like clicking a chandelier in Diablo and the thing crashes. That's technically like a consumable in this category. Pylons technically would be kind of a consumable, or actual things that you can just like activate from your inventory that gives you something.
Yeah, like potions and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge consumable fan from inventory standpoint. I think it's kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of min-maxing that goes on in games where it's like, oh, you need to have these potions and farm stuff for these potions, but that's also a time dump and a currency dump. So it's in the game for that reason. They put them in the game to make you spend your currencies and give you things to try to grind. I'm too lazy to grind them. Maybe that's why I don't like them.
Sure.
So,
but like, so if we take into consideration like examples, so Diablo 3 has your
pylons are
160%. We'll just talk about consumables like from the inventory real quick. So Diablo 3 has the potion, like the once per minute potion. Is it 30 seconds or I don't even know.
Put on a potion, I think it's 30 seconds.
Yeah. And then there's legendary potions. These have their like effect, but they're not crazy meaningful.
They're pretty weak.
Yeah. And then PoE, like, I mean, they're build defining potions.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. But then in PoE, you just end up piano flasking, and that feels really bad and unimpactful.
PoE's potion system to me, when I first played it, I was like, this sucks. And then as I played more, I got more used to it, but I still kind of feel like it sucks because, and maybe, it's just me being a new player, and I think you just said it, piano flasking, like, let's say my flasks were like, 1, 2, 3, 4, then I would just be like 1, 2, 3, 4. I wouldn't like really worry about what I was hitting. I would just hit them all the time. I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's probably my number one question is people ask, like, can I just like assign some hotkey where I hit them all at once? Because like it doesn't matter. And like, you can't technically do that in PoE, by the way. Like that's cheating. But yeah, it does feel unimpactful for sure.
Yeah. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, why do you have, 4 or 5 potion slots if it's just spam them? Just, make them meaningful, I guess, and put cooldowns on them, whatever. But and then it also felt like it defined the way boss fights work to me in PoE also, because it felt like when you're fighting a boss, there would be portions of, okay, boss, you versus boss, one-on-one. And then it's like, you're probably out of potions at this point. So here, we're going to throw you some enemies to kill to restore your potions so you can continue to get shit on by this boss. And I honestly feel like the waves of ads they sent at you, they weren't damaging, they weren't threatening. It was literally there just to give you your potions back. That's kind of how I felt. So I'm like, okay. So, I don't know.
I will say then there's Lost Ark, and Lost Ark also did consumables. And I think that they did them best, not to man crush on Lost Ark even more, but Lost Ark, you could have up to, I think, 4 consumables put on your hotbar, which I think would be the best way to do it. And there were a variety of different consumables. I think there were like at least like 16 or so. So, that was a little bit better.
They were not infinite. When you
had to farm them, right?
Yeah, so like you got them it was like Diablo's potions originally, where they had to drop and then you pick them up, or maybe you could buy them from a vendor back then. I don't remember, but
what Diablo 4 is looking like right now is
I don't know how I feel about I like the fact that some potions are infinite use. I don't mind the cooldown being on the potion, and I don't mind there being a choice to make when you're choosing the potion. I think those are good things. I don't necessarily know about farming a potion, because then you don't really want to use it. You're like, oh shit, man, if I use this thing, it's gone. And this is a really good potion. I'm going to wait and only use it during the raid or during this huge event where I know like I really need to not die. So I don't know how I feel about that portion. I don't want, this is the thing with cooldowns too. I don't ever want the game to feel like I'm just going to save this, because this thing is so important. I'm going to save it. And then you end up doing an entire end game content section and you never used it because you're like, I saved it for that moment, and that moment never happened. It's like, fuck it, I want to use my abilities and use my potion. So
yeah, it's a weird thing for sure. Next we have the skill tree, which is probably a fan favorite. So that can be anything from like the PoE passive tree, which is crazy, insane, and that's a way of you're stacking your damage up. Or like Diablo 2, where you're kind of selecting what skills to min max, like a kind of a smaller skill tree setup. Diablo 3 doesn't really have anything like that at all, so that's why it's not on there. But that's always pretty exciting. You know, there's been a lot of games like I can remember. Do you remember Rift, the MMO?
I do a little bit. I didn't play it, but I do remember it.
I would spend so much time like on their skill tree, just like because you could pick like 3 classes, and they had a ton of classes. And then you'd like min max between all 3. I actually love stuff like that.
Let me ask you: do you prefer a skill tree or a skill sphere? And I'm gonna say like an example. Classic WoW had a tree. It was a kind of more basic tree, but they had a tree. And then like Final Fantasy X, for example, was the first one that I remember. The sphere grid that's probably like one of the introductions to me to the sphere circle. PoE's got the sphere circle. Retail WoW now completely ditched their tree and went to this select a perk thing, and I think it sucks. Like I missed the tree. I think the tree was cool. Diablo 4's demo tree was like a twig. It wasn't a tree.
Right.
So what would you prefer? Let's say Diablo 4 is going to have this massive skill system.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want the circle? You want the sphere, or do you want a tree where you have to work down?
I will say, like in a tree, oftentimes there are really good things you would want to get, and there's only one path to get there, and that doesn't always feel good, because then you're basically like they're telling you, well, to say like you really want this node that makes you shapeshift into a bear, but it's locked behind like crit nodes, how you get there. And so like, well, I have to play crit. Let me think up of a really good crit build so I can get this bear for him or whatever.
Or what Wolsten did that movable sphere grid that was kind of interesting too.
Yeah. Wolsten, I think like the skill tree would have been okay if it would have been more broad. I don't think there was enough skills there. They're impactful skills. I think that Wolsten's skill tree was, I mean, it's probably on par with like Diablo 4, honestly. As crazy diverse as it looked like, there was just like only so many routes you could take. And so that ended up feeling pretty bad. I mean, if I have to choose at the end of the day, I'd go with PoE skill tree 100%. I know people that love Diablo usually don't love the PoE skill tree, but like just the sheer amount of choices.
The PoE skill tree makes you shit your pants if you've never played any game like it before, especially if you're coming from Diablo with no skill tree at all.
Right.
And then you open up PoEs and you're like, there's 5,000 nodes on this. What the hell? It can be super daunting. And again, advice is just follow a build guide and you'll be fine. Like you can figure it out just by playing the game. So it's okay.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of agree. I like the massive skill tree. It feels like PoEs, there's a lot of things that, it's like, plus 5 and
right.
plus whatever. And they're not massive choices, but the choices impact what you can achieve later on because it's a path. It's more about the journey, not about what a lot of the nodes do.
And what's interesting?
That's kind of cool.
Is like late league versus late season. So say you played Caustic Arrow in PoE and you played that all league. Now there's a kind of a, like, if you look at the tree, if you look at everyone's tree, you could probably see like a heat map of like where really popular things that people always get. But usually everyone looks a little bit different, even though they're playing like the same setup. They're doing different things usually. Whereas in Diablo 3, late season, like literally everyone is exactly the same. Like they're all cookie cutters of each other.
Right.
So I think that at the end of the day, I would prefer that much more than.
Yeah.
But anyways.
I'm with you.
And then you have things like skill alterations. So that's things like runes, obviously from Diablo 3, legendaries from Diablo 3, even uniques from Path of Exile, or sets, from Diablo 3. So things that change how a skill functions, i.e. making it do more damage because it like does more things. Of course, attack speed, I think that's its own category, really. It's just making you attack faster, therefore you do more damage. It really didn't fit in any of the other categories besides maybe buff stacking, but the same thing with cooldown reduction. I didn't really know where to put it because that's kind of assuming you're liking cooldowns in games where like some games don't, some games do. And of course, main stat stacking, which is, Paragon's in here, but I think there are other ways, right? So you have Paragon from Diablo 3, which, everyone views pretty negatively, I think. But then you've got things like strength and deck stacking builds in PoE, which are pretty challenging to gear out. So they can be good, they can be interesting, or if main stats is not your thing, don't vote it.
I think Paragon gets a bad rap because of the way it was implemented. I think in general it's an okay system. They just needed to cap it. There needs to be a cap on it. And Division just came out with their stuff, and they literally copied Paragon almost straight
So
up.
how does Division do it?
So Division does it. They give you 4 categories, and there's 4 main categories. Like there's your damage and defense, and I forget the other 2, like hazard protection. And there's like basically 4 main categories. Each one has a subset of 4 other smaller things in there. Like for example, the damage is weapon damage, critical hit chance, and I don't know what the other one is. So as you level up, you get to spend a point, and at 800 level, you're capped, and then that's it. And then every Paragon point after that just gives you resource materials. It gives you a useful currency in the game that you can spend, and it's not a lot, but it's a little bit. So you're still getting something for leveling up, but they put a cap on it. So the shitty part is, well, why not just cap us off the beginning and then blah blah blah? But it gives you something to work towards.
Sure.
And they made it hard. As of right now, it's hard to hit the cap. Of course, like game scale and power scales and experience scales and all that kind of shit. But as of right now, to get the Paragon cap, you're going to play a crazy amount of time. And it would, so you could think about it in the same sense, like when we hit soft cap in Diablo. But if you hit soft Paragon cap at 800, and this is low for Diablo, but 800, and then every Paragon after that, let's just say you got a Forgotten Soul and some Death Breath. You know what I mean? It's still worth something, but you're hitting that cap of like, okay, my Paragons, I got it. I have my juice now. I'm more juiced up than a player who hasn't hit it, so that's an advantage to get there. But then after that, because the way it works now with the infinite scaling, it's just like it promotes botting. I mean,
Totally.
So, and there's no way around that. Like people are like, oh, but you can't compensate bots and take bots into account, but you have to. I mean, it's part of the ecosystem. Like it's always going to be a thing.
I would love to see them like do an average. Like I know the average is gonna be crazy low, so maybe that's not the best thing. But like, so say the average Paragon was like 200. Like, and then take your 1%ers and average them.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even if you have the stats, look at your bots and see how much average Paragon they get. And I don't know. I would love to see like a cap Paragon. Obviously, I think that's been a pretty big community demand. But I want to see them cap it like pretty high still. Like I'd still want 2 to 3K.
800 was just an example for soft cap.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, it depends on the season too. Like this season, you can smoke Paragon like it's nothing. Right. I mean, rats are so ridiculous now. But yeah, like a 3,000 Paragon cap this season would be an achievable goal for somebody who plays a lot, not going to be hit by the majority of the players. And I think that in itself is honestly a good thing for the game because it's going to give you an extra carrot for people to chase. If I knew there was a 3,000 Paragon cap, I would probably be like, all right, let's do it. Let's shoot for that 3,000 Paragon cap. But since there's not one, I'm like, fuck, I don't care. Like the bots are going to get 5K anyways. What do I care?
True.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if I'm 2,000 or 3,000.
But then what keeps you playing after the 3K mark? Because at 3K mark, you'd be fully augmented probably, and you'd be fully ancient. So
I don't know. But what
playing
keeps
for
you playing
0.005? I don't know, like PoE, like SSF, like at any time, even if I play all league, I could get an upgrade. It's like it's a 10% upgrade. Like it's insane. So
yeah,
like that's the infinite progression of PoE is really what keeps me going. If I played Trade League, there probably wouldn't be much point of playing because I would have like the best of everything and I'd be playing for 1% upgrades. But some people love doing that. Some people
do you think you get enough? You play enough in a season that you get enough mats that you could trade for like GGs of every item you would need in a build
for Trade League and PoE?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I could honestly, like, in PoE, because I know enough about the game, I would probably kill Awaken Ray in a few days and have him on partner status, and then I'm just like playing for 2-3% upgrades, which isn't that exciting. It'd be like late season Diablo. That's why I don't play it.
Yeah.
But people that play Trade League are people maybe that don't have enough time to like farm out SSF, or love making tons of alts, and like that's the best way to do that.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I think for a newer player, like I think to learn the mechanics, like you suggested last time I played to play SSF, and I did that, and then a lot of other people were like, "Oh, that's silly. You shouldn't do that. You should play whatever." So I tried Trade League. I played SSF. I think for being able to get the things you need to finish a build and a build guide you're working on, I could definitely see that being a thing. I think to figure out mechanics and not just be like crutched through by trading or getting the things you need, SSF is important. So it's a really the scale is hard for me to determine, like, which one do you think's better? Because that's one of the big another complaint I have of PoE is the permanent choices on the skill tree. And I know that's kind of what makes the game what it is. But at the same time, for a new player, it's like, well, man, I just invested all this time. I can't just reset and be like, oh, fuck, I need a new character. But I guess the same's true in Diablo, man. If you pick Barb, you can't just make it a wizard,
Right.
Later on down the road. So, yeah, I don't know. But it's interesting that you can juice up that hard during the trade season, that it's not crazy expensive. So
I mean, it
what
is.
are the
but
people?
like,
What are the people that are trading all this shit? Like, what are they? Is it? Just, I mean, what are they spending their currency on?
I mean, honestly, there's a ton of people that they just love stacking a bunch of currency. Like you watch, somebody like Don the Crown, and he'll like do carries, and like that's what's fun for him. He'll sit on like hundreds of exalts by the league's end, and not really need to spend
Just
the
never
money.
spend them. They're just there.
Like that's the fun for somebody. Like how many exalted orbs did you get up to this league?
Yeah,
just like stockpile currency.
Yeah.
So it's just different strokes for different folks, kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah, so that's a nice breakdown of different skills, I would say.
Yeah.
Without talking about it too much, what's your favorite on the list?
I mean, I really, really like damage over time for some reason. I've realized the past like couple of years, like, wow, like poison builds are like my fucking jam. And like every game, I'm always looking at ways to do like poison like shit that just looks like evil, I guess.
Yeah.
So, it's always like my jam. What about you?
Oh man, it's
a big list.
Hard. Yeah, it's a big list. I can't even see it all anymore. It's definitely I think skill alteration is pretty cool to me. Like I'm scared to commit to that though, because this can also be implemented.
Well, take your time, look at it next week. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll see what I pick out. So,
but yeah, and then speaking of okay, so we talked about how maybe limited resources at Blizzard might be working on these DDoS attacks,
right?
And then obviously working remotely is probably a factor in that as well. GGG came out with a post about it, that shed some light, which was interesting. The TLDR of this post is basically said, like, we're prepared. We're all prepared to work from home, and it's not currently like really affecting anything. Like we're all like pretty with it, but they're like, but we kind of suspect that, like, depending on how long this goes, this could, not having those face to face and like being able to aggregate data with each other as much as you would if you're all in the office, like this could have some kind of long-term impacts. And they even go as far as to say is like this could, I mean, eventually we don't see it happening right now, but if this stays, like it could affect schedule releases and we could push back expansions. And then they even go as far as to say, well, if we push back expansions, guess what? That means we have to push back PoE too. So that feels bad, but
I imagine it's got to be the same for Blizzard. Like I imagine D4, that D4 building was huge, and there were tons of people crammed in that space that I'm sure aren't there now. So they're all working remotely from home, but like it's not the same, dude. Even for me, like I can do 95% of my job remotely, and it's still not as efficient to just be able to. If an example is just use your phone, like you just hit an extension, you can dial a 4-digit extension and ring your buddy. Now you're picking your cell phone up and you're like, hey, finding the number, and oh, they're not answering because their dog's barking or whatever. They're fucking off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just not as efficient as it is.
No.
If
Not at
somebody
all.
doesn't answer their phone, I would stand up and just go find them. I'm like, all right, let me go walk around the building and see if I can find them. And now you're just waiting. So
Sure. Yeah, it's tough. It is tough. And then they go on to say, like what they're working on. Delirium has been plagued with some lag. Obviously, there's DDoS going on, and they made this change to like how many cores we can utilize. So technically, they say it can utilize up to 8 cores, which is pretty unique in the gaming industry. Usually, as we've talked about in the before, like most games seem to be optimized just around 4. And so I built this like crazy 4-core gaming PC with like 5 gigahertz clocks, processors, because nothing really seems to utilize more than 4. And then PoE recently decided they're going to do 8, which I don't know the numbers on that, but it seems when they did that, they kind of fucked over people that aren't 8 cores, because like now I lag like crazy when there's a lot of things going on. They mess up shaders, I guess. So they're trying to get a patch out this week to really fix some of those issues. They have improved Delirium quite a bit. There is this feeling of like, so you start up to Delirium and then you're going through as fast as you can. You're not stopping to pick anything up, and it's actually in your best interest to not to stop to pick it up, because there's a lot of on-death things that happen. So if you go back to where you just were, chances are you're going to die. And so like you're just progressing as fast as you can. And then what that ends up doing is creates this experience where you've rushed through the map as fast as you can, and you fight the boss, and then you like just walk back through the map and like pick stuff up. And so like it really turns down your efficiency, and it feels kind of bad. I don't think there's anything in here that addresses that. I think it's still something that they're looking at, but it does like this. There's so much loot, and that feels good, but like walking and picking up stuff, it doesn't feel great.
No.
So
I
don't know.
It's a problem that a lot of games are doing. I don't feel like anybody's nailed loot that much. And again, man, not to praise Lost Ark so much, but Lost Ark did not really throw loot at you. It gave you loot, but it wasn't crazy. At least in the early game leveling process. I didn't get into the raids at the end game, but like Diablo, you go do a rift, you got 11 pieces of loot you're sorting through. You do a greater rift, you got handfuls of loot you're sorting through. Every couple minutes you're looking at 20 different items. Division drops so much loot you don't even give a shit. Like you're just like, I don't even care. It's just like all these games are just dropping so much loot. Inventory, I spend so much time managing inventory. I don't have a solution for it, but at the same time, it's like, man, it would be cool to figure out a solution for it.
Yeah. It's crazy to me because like I have pretty strict filters because I play SSF, and I like making my filter strict enough where it feels mostly like I'm playing Diablo 3 in the sense that it's kind of smart loot, because the things that I'm seeing are only things that I know that'll be good for me. Everything else is just completely ignored. I don't care, right? Like I could have the best bow in the world drop and I'll never see it because I don't give a shit, because I'm not playing a bow build. So that's how I set up my game. And so even I have to stop and like, oh, my inventory's full and I'm not done with the map. And
let me check stuff.
Right. Yeah. And I do like that about Greater Risk. It's just like, now just have fun, kill stuff, kill. And at the end, like you get so much stuff that your inventory is full and you have to make a couple trips to town. I'm better with that than like I'm full while I'm doing things.
Nothing sucks more than having to turn around. So you're in a T16, you're about to go to the next level, and you see a fucking legendary in the middle of the map. You know it's shit.
Yeah.
You know it's a fucking another hack sitting down there on the ground. But you're like, I gotta go check though.
True.
You gotta go check. And so you run back and you get this piece of shit hack. And then you're like, okay, let me teleport to my party, who has now cleared half of the next level.
Right.
And you're like,
just playing catch up for the rest of the
now you're playing catch up, but it's like that in every game. It's the same in anything you play, So at least greater rifts don't have that issue, and I do agree. I do like that. So
yeah, and they've got that halfway. Like delirium, the special delirium drops don't drop until the end. But it's just the problem is like all the other stuff that's normally in the map is there. And so
they need to just collect that loot that drops and then just drop.
But they already said
character
no.
The timer's done.
They've already said no to that exact scenario. The community was like, well, what if we did this? They're like, no. So
what was their fix then? Maybe I was zoned out.
They
like, what did you say?
Just made it like it feel a little bit better. They made it a little bit less rippy, and
what did they do about that drop
better?
Scenario,
they didn't. Nothing.
They've said we're not going to.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So I don't know. They've got their design philosophy, and sometimes they're just like, no, fuck you guys.
GGG.
Yeah.
You know.
So, but I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Still, you know, even with all the stuff that's going on, their turnaround is just insane. But so good on them.
Yep.
For that. Oh, and they all do a side note. So, you know, World of Warcraft's doing the double XP or whatever. GGG just they're giving a free loot box. So if you log into PoE within, you know, the next X amount of days, you get a free loot box. And I don't know what's in the thing, but if you like that stuff, if you like that stuff,
can I get some $40 PoE wings?
Maybe. I don't know. I got like a dragon last time, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, that's so rare!" And I was like, I never used the thing.
You're like, I don't care.
Yeah,
that's funny.
So, I don't think there's a way to transfer your shit to other people, so I couldn't even like resell it if I wanted to. I don't think
that wouldn't make. Yeah, that just is even more reason for people to hack other people's shit.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't do that either if I were them. I'd be like, no, if you buy it, it's yours. It's on your account. You're stuck with it. You know.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
You hating on anything this week?
You know, there's a lot of misinformation out there about the coronas. Like I see, like Lindsay will go to work and then like she'll have like some patient that heard from a doctor that like, oh, if you drink hot lemon water, like you're good to go. You won't catch it or some shit. Like it's just like, oh my god, like people are so dumb.
Right. Yeah. There's crazy stuff. I've done a lot of. My main thing is like, all right, I don't have a problem staying in the house. Like people like us, we're built for this, right? Like we can play video games 24/7 and work from home and stream and do all that. But I still got to get groceries. Like eventually your groceries run out, right? So, you know, my thing is when I go to the store. So I've done research like, okay, so like if somebody sneezes in Target, how long am I fucked if I walk through it? And it's like for an hour.
It's lingering in the air?
It lingers in the air for an hour. And then when it floats down to the surface, it'll stay there for up to 24 hours, depending on the material the surface is made of. So like your UPS driver brings your box and he's got Corona all over his hands. You let it sit outside for 24 hours, it'll be Corona free. So
cardboard like carries it less though or something.
Cardboard does. It can actually take longer than 24 on most on some surfaces, but most are 24. And like copper, for example, is 4 hours. Copper kills it fast. So, but 24 hours on droplets in the air is what I've read. And I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on this shit. This is just what I've read from like New York Times and stuff. But an hour, man. So you're thinking about that, and you're walking through, you know, this grocery store, and you're like, if anybody here has it, I'm probably getting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's like groceries delivered, you Neanderthal. What are you doing going up there?
That dude's gonna get it too, and then
he can disinfect your shit. Wear some gloves and disinfect.
You let your groceries sit on the porch just set them on the porch. You leave them there for 24 hours.
I
mean, it's cold outside. You could just leave them on the porch. You know. But yeah, it's interesting. So that you know, your fluff hates, my ThaPChild loves is I actually am gonna remember. Even though this is a horribly not awesome event, like this is not good, I've actually enjoyed the time at home with my family quite a bit, and this will be something that we will all remember forever. Like we're all gonna look back, you know, and be like, "You remember 2020 when we were trapped in the house together for a month?"
Not all of us. Rip.
Yeah. I'm saying for my family,
Yeah,
those
sure,
people
sure.
that have been affected by it, if one of us gets it and something happens, then it's going to be horrible.
Right.
But I'm saying I guess what I'm trying to say is it's brought us closer, at least. We have this. We're stuck in the house and we're got something. The kids are interested in what's going on in the world, and we're talking about it and explaining it, and uh, it's it's been it's been fun to spend time with the fam, I guess. So
Right on.
so
Oh, you know
that's
what? I got
that's
another fluff hates, bro.
okay.
Okay, so so far our government has been like, oh, like we'll give $1,000, but like you gotta make under like 90K a year, and we'll give like aid to whatever. If you get sick from it, we'll give you some aid or whatnot. I'm really curious how this is gonna develop, this situation, because like I could very well see our government being like, oh, we'll give you like a low interest rate loan to get you through these times, or we'll like
Right.
you won't have to pay your medical bills right away. Like so far in cities, they've done like, well, we won't evict you, but like you're still gonna owe us all that rent. So
Right.
like we won't shut off your electricity,
Yeah,
but
you know
guess
what?
what?
Yeah.
You still
So
have to pay
for
for
a P-Child hates, even though it's backwards. Spectrum, which is formerly Charter
Yeah.
Spectrum, these mother effers sent like, so we have Spectrum fiber for my business,
Right.
and I'm in charge of that business account. And then I have Spectrum cable at home, because fiber's not affordable at my house. But they sent me their fucking representative called me and left me a voice message, and he said, and they also emailed me too. But he said in this message, he says, "Hey, it's blah 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 from Charter Spectrum. During these tough times, we want to know that Charter's got your back and this and that. We're offering temporary upgrade services so you can upgrade your internet speed. They want you to pay to upgrade your internet speed." They're not giving it to you. They're not like, yo, we know that shit's crazy. Like, here, we're gonna juice you up a tier of internet. And
Yeah.
this dude calls me and he's like, yeah, we'll sell your business a temporary upgrade for 90 days for like thousands of dollars, is what he was saying. I'm like, you motherfucker.
Sick.
Like, you are sitting here trying to scalp money. And this guy was a total like salesman scumbag.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, dude? If I actually had another option of reliable internet at my house, I would fucking switch just because of that.
Right.
And then they emailed my personal account and they told me the same thing. Like, we know a lot of you guys are working from home. You can upgrade your internet speed so you have a better connection when you're, working remote. You can temporarily upgrade your internet speeds at no contract or whatever.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I already have the fastest tier you offer, first off. But secondly, like, you're just charging people more money who are like getting fucked by this.
Right.
Dude, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
What's even more crazy is like all these people are taking to like social media and being like, gamers need to stop like using up so much of the internet. And it's like, man, you think video games take up that? Like, video games literally don't take up that much.
Right.
It's the streaming services.
Yeah, so people who don't understand, like, your typical video game, let's say an online video game. I'm going to use I'll use WoW, for example, because that's just constant online MMO, right? You're literally using like 3 to 400K a second.
Yeah.
This is K, not megabytes a second. We're talking K. So it uses very little data. The connection rate of that data and the constant stream is there. But for example, you stream a single movie off of Netflix at 1080p resolution in HD, you've probably transferred somewhere in like the 4 to 6 gig range if you're doing it at a decent quality. If you're streaming it at like a lower bit rate, compressed shit, you're probably using a gig and a half for a movie like that. You're not going to use that in like a week of playing video games,
Right.
In one movie.
Right.
So
and then the Zoomers that are like watching the 4K videos on YouTube, like, oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah. So like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm killing the bandwidth. Like,
Yeah.
fluff.
Well, we're streamers, right?
It, right. So when I stream, I'm using 20
We're the
gigs
problem.
a night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are the problem. But YouTube has limited video quality to
Have they?
relieve the strain of their bandwidth. Yeah, they announced yesterday, today, I don't remember. But they've dropped the video quality to, relieve stresses. I don't know if it's their stresses or just everybody's stresses in general, but that's if your YouTube videos look like shit lately. That's what's going on. If this podcast looks crappy when you're watching it on YouTube, that's probably what's happening. So, but some companies are doing some really cool things, like CBS All Access. If you don't know what CBS All Access is, it's like Netflix for CBS shows. They're giving a month away for free. Like, you can log in and get full service, like everything, no commercials. You have to just sign up with an account and use the code GIFT. I don't know if it applies to already.
You have to put your credit card in or whatever, like the auto renew thing.
I mean, maybe you have to go in and you can cancel it instantly. I'm not sure, but they gave it away for free. Even if it is a debate promotion, like, let's get them sucked in, they'll try it, and then we'll have their credit card. Like, you just be smart enough to cancel.
Right.
But you could watch like the new Star Trek show, or they have a bunch of CSI things and other stuff on there. So whatever you're into, they probably got it. So I think you see shit like that, and that's, to me, kind of cool. It's like, oh, well, some companies are doing something, or they're trying to. So,
right
on. And then one other thing before we jump in Twitter questions. I just saw this today for the first time. They're making a new Predator, like, Predator 1980s, Arnold Schwarzenegger, in the jungle shooting stuff.
Yeah, there's
Predator
like 50
movie.
of these movies. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they're making a Predator game where, a game, and there's a trial this weekend. You can try it for free, where you're like in a squad of 4 people, I think, and there's one guy that's the Predator, and the Predator is running around trying to kill the squad, and then you have to kill the Predator.
Didn't they do that with like the Jason guy?
Yeah, they did, and it looked pretty interesting, man. But there's also like objectives and missions, like you need to go kill some drug lords or something too, while the Predator's trying to fuck you. So, I don't know. It's a free trial this weekend, so if you guys are into The Predator, to me was like one of my favorite movies as a kid growing up. Did you watch it as a kid? Like, I was a huge Arnold fan.
I've still never seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
You're missing out, man. That is like 80s classic, dude. So
I've never seen Rambo or any of those things.
What?
Yeah. Action flicks are just not my jam.
Interesting. I grew up on Predator, and I loved it. I was a huge Arnold fan. So to me, I'm like, ooh, Predator. All right, you had me at Predator. You ready to do some Twitter questions?
Let's do it.
If you guys want to submit your questions to the podcast, use our Discords. We both have sections where you can drop it in there, or you can tweet them at ThaPChild or at Lord_Fluffy. The first question today comes from Johnson Light 02. He says Diablo 3 gets a lot of flack in terms of RNG, Ancients and Primals. Yet PoE's itemization is praised despite not having a lot of RNG, or having a lot of RNG, even more RNG, arguably. In regards to mods and uniques, why is that, and why is there a discrepancy? So PoE's RNG seems higher than Diablo 3 in his opinion, and yet it's praised, and Diablo 3's is shit on.
Yeah, I think that is coming from a Diablo 3 player's perspective. I think that the reason Diablo 3's RNG gets shit on so hard is because, like, you'll finally get the primal, and because there's so many useless, like literally useless stats in the game, that it's terrible. Like, the primal turns out to be terrible. It's not then terrible in the sense like, oh, it's just not good for my build. It's just terrible. Like, it's just unusable. Whereas like PoE, you might get like something with like 3 tier 1s, like on a ring or something like that, and it's not good for you, but it's still really good for someone else's build out there, and you can use that to trade for something that's really good for you. So I think that's probably the big difference, is that just because it's not good for you, it doesn't mean it's total trash. Whereas in Diablo 3, it's just trash. I think that is the big divide.
Well, also PoE has trading and Diablo doesn't, so that doesn't even, that's another thing. Because you could get, for some reason, let's say you get like you're playing a wizard, and you get a perfectly rolled Yang's recurve. I mean,
Right.
I guess you could use it on a Demon Hunter if you have one, but if you're just, not a Demon Hunter fan,
Right.
you're trashing it. You're not trading it. You're not selling it. So there's no currency exchange that can happen. And I also think that you can correct me because I don't know PoE's endgame
Sure.
loot very well, but so Diablo 3's ancient and primal systems, the item already exists.
Yeah,
and
totally.
you're already RNGing that item to get a good roll in the first place. But then now you're RNGing to get an ancient version of that same item that's already existed, and then now it has to roll good, and then you're RNGing even more just to get a primal
Right.
that has the stats that you want on it.
Totally.
So it's not like ancients and primals are all new weapons and all new ancients. I think ancients and primals shouldn't exist in the game, personally. I think that loot pool that they make up and consume was an easy win that the Diablo team was able to produce to just try to get more of a grind because of the speed that we were able to farm. I remember early in one of the seasons when Hydra Wizard was king, so maybe 7, 8, I don't remember, but Hydra Wizard was a thing, and I didn't get a Serpent Sparker all fucking season. Like I got one handed to me by some rando like late in the season, and I was, at the time, whatever Paragon it was, I was pretty high, but I was like, this is some bullshit. So I think as the game progressed and we were able to smash and get more, like they since then they upgraded the loot to double the drops. At some point they put a buff on, and they're like, oh, we like that buff, we're going to keep it permanently. So drop rates have gone up.
Yep.
Player speed has gone up. The torments have gone up, which means more drops. The greater rift levels have gone up, which means more drops. You get 11, I think it's capped at 11 or 12 drops in a greater rift. I think it hits that around 90 to 100. But if you do a greater rift 30, you don't get 11 pieces, you get like 4 pieces. So the amount of drops we see per hour go up, and so Diablo had to compensate that by saying, okay, people are going to get perfect rolled normal items, now we need to make ancients and primals. So it's a whole clusterfuck of all the systems kind of failing that creates this RNG and Diablo's loot not necessarily being viewed as amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Is that ancients and primals are totally fake content. Like imagine in PoE, if not only do you need to get a unique and then you get it rolled well, but like you had to get an ancient unique and then a primal unique. Like people would shit on PoE just as well. So
yeah, it's just not great. I understand why they did it though, and if that's all the tools they had, it's better than not having it, because the speed that they gave us now and the power they gave us, normal items wouldn't cut it. However, the ancients and primals are part of the problem. Like if we didn't have these ancients and primals, we're not going to hit 150s like we have been. I mean, maybe, but you're not going to push as high. So it just creates this whole domino effect of systems starting to fail when you start screwing with things like that. Cole Smash says, so to update, so if you guys don't remember, Cole Smash asked the question about proposing to his girlfriend and buying a ring and this whole thing. And so an update on that. He says, update on my situation. I heard back from the girl I proposed to, and she wants to meet up. It turns out that she has corona and is very sick. She has said that she made a mistake and wants to talk about it. What should you do? Well, first off, this sounds more and more fake every day.
Every time he asks the question.
Every time it's a little more fake. But
what the fuck? Okay, so she wants to meet up, but now she has corona?
She has corona. So absolutely not, you shouldn't meet her. But let's just assume that you threw that in there for shits and giggles. I would tell her where to stick it personally. I'd be like, listen, man, I asked you to marry me and you cold shouldered me for like a month. You can kiss my ass. You know what I mean? Like, is that the type of person you want to be married to for the rest of your life? You're going to be married for 2 years and she gets mad, cold shoulders you. You find out she's on a date with some other dude. Like, absolutely not, man. So.
I'm of the little bit more forgiving. Obviously, last time, you were like, no, fuck her. She didn't talk to you after a few days or something like that. I don't know. I think it would be unsafe to obviously meet up because of the corona. I don't think that if someone has corona, like To me, it's crazy that like, well, I'm not a boomer, so I'm not gonna die. Like, why do you even run a roll the dice? Like, there's still a chance you're gonna fucking die.
Have you like seen? I mean, I don't know how true these things are, but I saw like I don't know what fucking news channel it was, CNBC or something, like one of the major like political news channels I never watch. I come in the bedroom, my wife had it on, and she's watching them interview some guy in his like mid-20s that has corona, and this dude's telling him about the symptoms, and he's like, dude, this is the most excruciating pain I've ever felt with his respiratory system and having to get up and walk around and keep his lungs active and just the shit that he was going through. I'm like, there is no way I want to go through that.
Right.
So Google those symptoms. If it's legit, like you don't want that stuff.
Yeah. There's even if you get like, even if you make it through, you can still have like long-term effects to damage in your lungs. You can like people have lost like their sense of taste, their sense of smell. Like it's just, and there is a high risk. The more people that get infected, it seems like that mortality rate is slowly increasing. So I don't know, man. Just don't roll the dice. Why do it?
Yeah.
If she has something to say, dude, she can say it over the phone. You guys can FaceTime.
Yeah.
No.
You can. I mean, I would make a list of all the ways she can kiss my ass to fix it. Like, all right, first off,
I would hear what you wouldn't want to hear what they'd have to say at least.
Yeah, but I'd still at the end of the conversation be like,
but that's not what he's asking. He's not asking what should I do once she tells me she's sorry. He's like, what should I do? Talk to her.
Sure. Yeah, there's things that I don't even want to say on the pod because it's not.
You guys could find out what he's gonna say if you subscribe on Patreon to our podcast. You could hear all the things we say before and after the pod.
Yeah.
Just think about it, chat. We didn't have this influx of like 1 million Patreon supporters. So either maybe the website's bugged or
if any of you guys are genuinely trying to support through Patreon and you have any issues, please let me know because it's a new setup.
Right?
Yeah, it's a new setup. So I'm sure everything's good though. But check it out. Check out the Patreon. There are some cool rewards there, or cool things. Like listening to you guys would have loved this pre-podcast. It was it was interesting, man. It was I would have been embarrassed if people were hearing the conversation, to be honest with you.
Oh, so you're gonna start changing once people start listening?
No, I'm just saying I'd be a little embarrassed, man. Just saying I'd be a little embarrassed. So Hex says, if animals could talk, how do you think the world would change? Would you still eat meat?
God damn. That's weird because I feel like the government would like, I don't know.
I mean,
because if you look at how meat's packed now, right? See, like at these cow farms, you never see any of these cows. They probably like keep them sanctioned off so they couldn't like beg for mercy or something like that. So you still wouldn't. Maybe
like you're at the grocery store and there's like they have those lobster bins, right? This lobster's just like, oh fuck, please don't eat me, dude. Like
that scene from what was it? Bad. What was that? The superhero thing? The boys.
The boys.
And he's like saves the crab.
Like winks at him. A lobster. Maybe he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I want this lobster, and the dude's like, I got you, man. And then the guy smashes him. Yeah. Or the dolphin.
Right.
But yeah, it's oh man, it would totally fuck with me if animals could talk. I don't know.
It'd be tough.
Like, how could you? You know what? If animals could understand you, though, my fucking cat would get an earful. My piece of shit cat. Listen, I hate this cat. I love the cat, but I hate the cat. My cat decided to go over and like I keep all my shoes by the garage door in the corner. Like I have like my sandals and my shoes and all my stuff stacked up there. My cat went and pissed in the corner, and it didn't purposely like piss on my shoes. It tried to piss in the corner, but like some splatter got on like a pair of like old, like shitty shoes that I use when it's muddy or rainy. And I just threw them away. I'm like, listen, why the hell did you not go in your litter? It doesn't make sense. Like it just randomly just pissed on my shoes. And I'm like, I wanted to kill the cat right there. I'm like, listen,
Yeah.
If this cat could talk, I would choke it and beat it.
Your wife's in chat saying, don't talk about my cat.
Yeah. Fucking cat.
Yeah.
So
I imagine
yeah.
that'd be really annoying too, because you got to imagine that like dogs and cats are not the most intelligent of creatures.
Right.
So it's like, what was that movie where the guy gets like the power of everything in his hand, and he like Simon Pegg? He gets like the power in his hand, and he makes his dog talk, but the dog's like unintelligent and it's annoying as fuck. So like that would be really annoying.
Your cat's just walking around food.
Your dog's like, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. I want a treat. Let's go play. Let's go play. Like, fuck off, dude. Like it'd probably make owning animals like way worse. If they
Hey,
could talk.
how did I didn't realize the other day when you called me, I was driving. How did you? I didn't realize Chat could hear me.
Oh, when you stole Dr. Disrespect's Lambo?
Yeah, I borrowed his Lambo. He lets me borrow it all the time.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Straight up. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Driving through his town and everything. Yeah. I thought that was a very personal moment for you to share on stream. I didn't really appreciate it. Just because I cry about not getting an invite to BlizzCon doesn't mean you can advertise to the world.
Can't advertise it to the world?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Especially
I'm sorry, dude.
While ripping off someone else.
Let's see. Trent says, how do you think the world would be different if advertising didn't exist? Do you think we'd be better people, want less, or is it human nature to want more?
These are philosophical questions, dude.
I know.
If there's no advertising, so like the insinuation is we want and desire because we see something and we're like, oh, I want that. I need that.
I think we're super greedy. That's why we can't have anything from the stores now. You're like, oh, I want all these things. I want chicken nuggets. I'm going to buy all of them to make sure I don't run out. Fuck everybody else. I just want all of it for me.
Yeah. Dude, I made a mistake of watching. You ever seen Contagion? I had never seen it.
I don't know what it is.
Oh my God. Don't watch it.
Is it a TV show or a movie?
It's a movie about a fucking epidemic. It's
okay.
Just like, don't
watch it.
There's a scene where it's like everyone's waiting in line to get like food, but then they ran out and they're like, sorry, like everybody, you gotta like go home, like come tomorrow, maybe we'll have more supply or whatever. And then people start fucking attacking the people that are like walking to their cars with their food to like steal their food, and like fucking mass panic, and like, oh my God, that would totally fucking happen.
Legit,
exactly. I know.
Like I saw
on
my wife had something on her Facebook where this dude, it sounded like he was from a foreign country. I don't know if he just had an accent and he was in the United States, or he just, was from a foreign country, but they were in like Walmart or something, and I guess there was a shipment of toilet paper, and literally like people were fist fighting over toilet paper, and this guy's just recording it on his cell phone, like, oh my God. And like this old old lady like gets a thing of toilet paper, and she was like walking away from the stack, and this other girl's like coming up, like looking like, like, where's it at? And this lady just like shoves her out of the way because she thinks she's gonna try to jack her toilet paper. And then there's this old dude's just getting bounced around in the middle, like trying to get a roll. It's just, I'm like, fuck, man, this is toilet paper we're talking about.
Yeah, it's insane.
But I mean, it happens, man. Like, so my stores next to me haven't had any toilet paper for like 3 weeks now, going on 3 weeks. I haven't seen any there. So like when I was there, like I've had kids, I'm a baby wipe fan anyways, so when I was at the store I always go check that too. So Target had a shipment of baby wipes in. I bought 4 boxes, man. Like that's enough to last me like 3 or 4 months. So like I cleaned out just because, but it's this whole thing. It's like, well, if I buy one, then and that runs out and they don't have any more for a long time, what are you going to do? So,
So you're part of the problem. That's what you're saying.
I am.
Wow, dude.
I'm part of the problem because you're scared not to be able to get it again,
Yeah, I mean it's a crazy time. Like we'll have so many stories to tell when this is all said and done, I'm sure.
Like, I mean, what are you doing? You don't even get out of your house.
No, I mean, again, I've been doing the Instacart thing, just like having to bring the groceries here.
You can't Instacart TP.
They can. We don't need it. We're still good for like a month or two.
A month or two. You got your supply.
We don't use that much TP.
Yeah.
I want to get a bidet. I should get a bidet.
That's what a lot of people have been saying. I'm like, dude, how weird would that be? Like we're not used to it.
Yeah, Americans, we're not used to it at all.
I've never used one. Have you ever used one?
I
mean,
like
you travel a lot.
Yeah,
so
for the memes, I totally did in like China and like they go a lot nicer.
Yeah, what was the experience? Was it like what the fuck?
I don't really still like, if I'm being honest, I don't still really understand the process, like the order of operations, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that much cleaner.
Rinse then dry. I mean, you don't dry then rinse. You know, Fluff's like, wait, let's air dry first, and then we're gonna.
No idea.
I don't know how it works, man.
Sure, it just seemed really messy. I don't know. So
I don't know either. That's it, man. That's all the questions we had this week.
Yeah. Cool. Easy
mode. Thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll be back next week for episode 93. Right?
Yeah. 93.
Hey.
Unless ThaPChild doesn't make it.
Big 100.
If you make it.
You know what? I've been thinking, like, I can't get a haircut these days. Like,
yeah, dude.
Really bad.
I'm in the same boat. Yeah. Like, I'm long right now.
All right. So, yeah, me too. Like, my hair is crazy. Like, look at this. It's just insane. Yeah. Right. Okay. So, what if we should make a bet and loser has to buzzer their head on stream?
I got a weird shaped head. I know I do.
No, not razor shave it. Just like clippers and just like
still like the weird shaped head would expose. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm way too good looking. I don't know.
I got you. I
can't even.
All right. If you're scared, I mean,
I am scared. I've got a weird head, I think. So.
Okay. All right. I tried, guys. That's it, man. If you guys want to catch more of me, you can find me everywhere at ThaPChild.
Yeah. And I'm Lord_Fluffy, __ on the Twitters.
See you guys next week.
Yeah.
Peace.